reminding me that. All right. I think it is recording. Just a second. All right, so we'll officially start. So welcome very much to the all-member call, Safe States all-member call. This is the first one that I've held since I've been president for the last year plus some. So I'm really excited to try it out and am really pleased with the response. We had a lot of people who signed up to join, well over 100, and looks like at least 60 people so far on the call today, so that is really great. We are recording the call, so we'll be posting this later, so if you have to end early or know people who wanted to participate but weren't able to, that is perfectly fine, and we will have an opportunity to do that via recording after the meeting. So let me see if I can just figure out how to advance the slides again, sorry. Oh, I know it. This is good because I'm recording and I'm in the space station here. Let me just figure out how to smooth these screens away here. Sorry. So while I'm doing this, this will be better. All right, I think we're good now. So we're not going to do introductions on this time just because it is a jam-packed agenda and there's a lot of us on the call. But I would encourage you, if you could, put your name, organization, and state in the chat. Please do that. And if I can ask Safe State staff to kind of keep an eye on the chat function for me. And if there's questions as we go, let me know. And we will have some time at the end for some questions. So hopefully that works out well. All right. So our agenda today is to introduce a lot of new exciting things that are happening with Safe States. Our biggest thing that we've been working on from the executive committee standpoint is a revised strategic map. And I'm noticing that the dates are a little off there. It's 2018 through 2021 or 2019 through 2021. But we are going to provide an overview of some of the specific activities that we're working on in this particular year. Our key staff and board committee activities will provide a review, and then we have quite a few updates from Safe States, just exciting things that are happening, and so we will do that. So before diving into the strategic map revision, I just wanted to revisit our vision and our mission for the organization. We did not make any changes to this when we went through the strategic planning process. We did talk about it and decide that it still fit us and thought that it represented us well. So our vision is to be the recognized leader and driving force in understanding and preventing injuries and violence. And our mission is to strengthen the practice of injury and violence prevention. So for our strategic map, some of you who have been Safe States members for a while will recognize this format that we have. We decided not to do a major revamp of the strategic map, but rather revisit all the components. We hired the same contractor to help us build this, so this format I think will be familiar with you. And so this kind of idea is to create a strategic map that's a one-pager that can guide our work, but isn't a comprehensive, really long strategic plan like sometimes we all do in the field. So our central challenge here is to provide leadership that advances injury and violence prevention. So that's really our our central challenge is the language our contractor used, but what we're really hoping to achieve, our ultimate goal with this grant or with this strategic map. And then under there we have 5 different goal areas to expand, diversify, and engage the membership, strengthen the injury and violence prevention workforce, advocate for policy solutions, and engage in cross-sector collaboration, secure and diversify funding sources. So all of these goals are what we're looking at is really 3-year goals, so ending in 2021. And then under each of the goals, we have some strategic objectives that we are hoping to achieve, and are kind of working on them over the 3 years, certainly. But then we really felt like it was important to do some prioritization within that. So you'll see that our activities that we're specifically working on are kind of aligned for these priorities. So this is how the map ended up. So the strategic objectives under each of the goal area pillars are outlined below, and I'm not going to read them all in great detail. I hope this is posted on our website and will be sent out so you can kind of look. But again, we try to really operationalize what steps we would have to take in order to achieve the ultimate goals at the top of the map there, and some different ideas. And then what we've been doing is really taking a look at working with our SIGs and our committees and the executive committee and staff to think about how we can prioritize our work. So we decided that we would select one of these boxes under each of the main goal areas to focus on for this year. So kind of 2018, 2019, and really put some concentrated efforts and some specific activities. So those priorities are here in blue. So under expand, diversify, and engage the membership, we really want to focus on recruiting a diverse membership that reflects our field. So some of the things that you've seen us work on over the last couple of weeks, hopefully you've seen some information about the student memberships that we've been really pushing and trying to engage students in a different way, and lots of work to engage other sectors. And so just some examples of what we want to do there. Strengthening the injury and violence prevention workforce, we prioritized offering quality and relevant professional development opportunities. Under the policy goal, educating policymakers to advance the field, engaging cross-sector collaboration, strengthening relationships with other organizations who are pursuing common goals. I think that one got cut off a little bit. And then secure and diversify funding sources. We are prioritizing developing and prioritizing potential projects and concepts for funding. So one of the things that we really wanted to do this year that's a little bit different than how we've operationalized the map in the past is to really think intentionally of, for all of the staff work and the executive committee work and the SIG work that happens, how can we collectively work towards achieving particularly these priority areas in the next year, and what does that really look like, and how are those activities really complementary? So each of our kind of workforce that has really been putting a lot of time and energy to make our organization what it is across the board has been contributing some specific activities under these pillars. So at first we have our great Safe States staff, and they really have been really great trying to look at the strategic map once the executive committee prioritized the objective areas that we wanted to focus on this year. They really spent a whole retreat going through to identify, okay, given the resources they have and from grants and other funding sources, and just knowing all of you through their interactions with our members in a broad sense, how can we really work on this collectively? And so I'm going to turn it over to Sharon to provide a very brief highlight of the staff-led activities that the staff landed on.
Thanks, Lindsay. Good afternoon, everybody. I think most of us are in afternoon now. Like Lindsay said, I will keep this brief, but I do just want to clue you into some of the activities that staff will be pursuing in the coming year. So like Lindsay mentioned, once the executive committee identified those 5 priority issues for the year ahead, Safe State staff went through a brainstorming process to identify priority activities to pursue in order to move those priority areas forward, which were those 5 blue boxes in the slide earlier. So these activities are not meant to be exclusive, and in fact, we'll certainly be pursuing additional activities beyond those listed here, but these are just some of the foundational activities that staff had committed to conducting in order to start to move towards those goals. Like Lindsay said, you'll recognize some of these because they've already been put into motion, which is great news. And I should also mention that what you're seeing here, these are not in any specific order, so there's no there's no weight given to where things are listed here. So just looking at some of the categories here, when we look at recruiting a diverse membership, first and foremost, staff recognize that we really have to define diversity as it relates to our purposes. Are we referring to organizational background, state health departments versus a hospital or healthcare organization? Are we discussing demographic diversity, geographic diversity, tenure in the IVP field? You can see how there's a lot of different diversity, all of which we would ideally prioritize. But certainly we will be making an effort to really come up with that definition. In tandem with that process, we'll be putting together a package of tools to assist with outreach efforts that show the value of our membership and then also facilitate those connections. Some of those tools are already developed, and some of them are underway. Many of you saw, and thank you very much, contributed to Giving the Gift of Student Membership campaign that we enacted over Giving Tuesday and then extended. As you might have seen, we were able to offer 14 student scholarships as a result of that campaign, which is just fantastic. It's a really nice opportunity to engage with professionals early in their careers and attract them to the IVP field. And of course, there's a good bit of follow-up for those students who signed up who were not selected for a scholarship. Professional development opportunities, this is also always something that is of utmost importance to Safe States. Definitely focusing on expanding the partnership pool with the idea of there's a great value add when you bring in new ideas and start to merge fields and really start to streamline things. We will continue our virtual trainings. We will be trying out a couple of different formats just to always work on being as engaging as possible, as relevant and as timely for your needs. So we welcome any feedback that you all might have as we try out these new formats. Nothing is set in stone, and we're happy to tweak and to keep trying until we really hit that perfect spot of being able to convey information quickly and of great relevance to you all. Advocacy and educating policymakers to advance the field. This is a growing priority for the organization. You may have seen developing a set of congressional priorities. This is an activity that's already been underway for the, Rich will keep me honest here, 116th Congress, is that right? Paul and Rich and the policy committee and our members are always so active about getting to the Hill and working with the policymakers, and will continue to do so. Where they can always use your help and where they will continue to be active is in things like sign-on letters, reaching out to your congressional representatives for these opportunities, any opportunity to weigh in on testimony, proposed legislation, etc. One thing that the organization is considering and looking into is seeing if we can find technological solutions to help facilitate some of those processes so that it's less of a lift on your end, but we can still work to get the message out as quickly as possible. So that is one of the activities that staff will be working on. Collaboration with other organizations is always a priority for Safe States. It has always been a priority of Safe States, and it will always be a priority for Safe States. Collaboration is really central to everything that we do. So this is going to involve cross-promotion, both informal and informal opportunities, and just really working to conduct outreach to try and bring other organizations to us, and then also trying to get ourselves at the table with other organizations. And then finally, developing and prioritizing concepts for funders. Safe States is a member organization, but we're also a grant-funded organization who has a large body of work to support the field of IVP and our members. And what we are looking to do, and are very grateful for the support of our members and for our new concept development committee, chaired by Vinny LaHue, thank you, Vinny, and Tony Gomez, thank you, Tony, are to really start to be thoughtful about how can we guide the field, you know, rather than responding to the grant opportunities that are arising, can we put together concepts that we can proactively shop around to potential funding organizations to really pursue the work that we and our members find valuable for moving the field of IVP forward. So that is a brief rundown of the activities that staff have prioritized. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thanks, Sharon, for that overview. I appreciate it. So in addition to all of the great work that staff is doing, we really felt it was important this go around to specify, what is the Safe States Executive Committee or board members doing. So you can see these are our current board executive committee members. We kind of use those terms interchangeably. So we also spent some time looking at each of the goal areas for the year and identified some specific projects that we're going to be committing to, both as a group in some cases and then sometimes as individuals, as board members and our individual contributions. And so under the membership goal, we really want to help, and Sharon kind of mentioned this in her speaking, really thinking about what does diversity mean as it relates to our organization. I think, and as it relates to our membership, and what do we mean by that? So we're going to be talking through a lot of our conversations in the executive committee to help define that and incorporating that into our meetings. We also really want to be good models and really use the member outreach tools that that Safe States has developed to really grow our membership and do outreach to different sectors. We do have a fairly diverse executive committee in terms of different places that we work, a geographic representation, as well as different types of disciplines, from state health departments to local health departments and hospital-based injury prevention professionals, university partners. So we really want to leverage that. And we also want to identify national meetings, events that we can really have Safe States have a presence at, and that might happen, through our various locations and sphere of influences, and so trying to really be active in that. Under professional development opportunities, a lot of the work of the executive committee is looking at our budgets and making some decisions to, really think about how we direct staff to spend some funds. And so making sure, particularly the more discretionary funds that we have, there's a lot of work in the grants that has to be done, but what can we say we want some of the money to be going to for things like staff development, or professional development for staff, developing more products for our membership, holding workshops that are important and will draw and be of utility to our members. And so those activities are certainly central to conversations when we talk about budgeting, but we'll continue to do that. Under policy, we want our executive committees members to participate in Hill Day and to really respond to the legislative alerts that Paul sends out. We all know we have unique circumstances in our day jobs that have some rules around what we can do on work time, but as individuals off work time, we can certainly be responsive and we can send those alerts to our partners and try to really act on them. So that's something we're prioritizing this year. Strengthening relationships with other organizations. We are going to use some of the tools, again, that Safe States has developed in terms of what the benefits of partnering with us as an organization are, be active in inviting organizations to be part of the annual meeting and really helping facilitate introductions between new partner organizations and Safe States, and specifically Rich, so that he can follow up on those opportunities and pursue them. And then under kind of the fiscal priority, we want to build in budget time so that staff has time to develop new project proposals and concepts. That's work that happens outside of the grant funded work that we do. And so again, sort of a budget priority that we need to be considerate of. And then again, helping as individuals and collectively to identify and facilitate potential funding sources that we can use. So in addition to the executive committee and staff, we also have currently for this year 5 committees that are active, that are part of the board or the executive committee direction. So we have an annual meeting planning committee, a new concept development committee, which is really exciting. We haven't had that one before. A finance and audit committee, which we always have because that's necessary for a nonprofit organization, membership development, and then policy. We also have 3 active special interest groups, And so we've got hospital-based injury prevention, partner and sexual violence, and then a state designated representatives SIG group, which is state health department professionals that are working in that one. And so as each of these committees and special interest groups have been meeting, they have been also identifying specific activities that they can work on in service to our objectives that we would like to achieve this year. Many of them are on the call today. Some couldn't make it. So I am going to just call on just real briefly each of the committees and SIGs to provide just a quick overview of the activities that you will be working on. First, our Membership Development Committee is chaired by Stuart Williams and Ariel Smith. And I saw Ariel pop up in the participant list, but I am not sure she is actually able to be on the call the whole time. Are you there, Ariel? Okay, she might have just dialed in for a second. Staff support to this committee is Krista, sorry about that, Krista Thielen, and she'll give us a quick overview of the Membership Development Committee activities. Might need to unmute yourself if you haven't already.
There we go. Did I do it?
Yep, you did it.
All right. Oh, technology. Okay. Anyway, hello everyone, and welcome to the call. Just want to take a minute to talk about what the Membership Development Committee wants to focus on with the strategic plan and the activities. Really focusing again as staff and executive committee are on the recruiting of diverse membership that reflects the field. We want to take a look at our membership database and really determine areas where we can grow in the organization, find out where we have gaps, and work to do outreach with those efforts. We're very excited about the new student memberships that we have and hope to see that continue to grow as well. We talked about also developing personal stories from our current members to share as part of recruitment, why we are part of Safe States. And I know on our website we have that featured of the hashtag why I belong, and so really wanting to incorporate that into why it's important to members to be part of Safe States. Participate in network and leadership opportunities to strengthen membership. That happens at our annual meeting, that happens through our webinars and other activities. So really just continuing with that and working to strengthen membership that way, along with providing opportunities early, mid, and late career for professional and leadership development, just finding ways to reach people where they're at and help them on their journey of where they're going. So very excited about the initiatives, and those are really our top activities, but we do have ideas for others that we want to be part of. So it's not an exclusive list. It's a very busy committee, and we always like to take on quite a few things to get all the work accomplished. So thank you so much, and I'll turn it back over to you, Lindsay.
Great, thank you, Krista. Our next committee that we want to highlight is the annual meeting committee, which is chaired by Lisa Roth and Courtney Edwards. And Lisa is going to give us a brief overview of their activities.
Great, thanks, Lindsay. Again, welcome to the call, and I'm excited to just be co-chairing this year's annual meeting with Courtney Edwards, supported by Eva Bland from the Safe State staff, but supported by a fantastic committee as well. We had a great call this morning talking about our annual meeting. One of the things I wanted to make mention of is that we've actually decided to rename the annual meeting as the Injury and Violence Prevention Conference. We felt like that was a much a better depiction or description of what the conference is, rather than an annual meeting where you feel like you're coming to talk about just Safe States business. It truly is a continuing education opportunity and professional development for anybody in the field. So that's going to be one change you see. We're really excited to be in Atlanta, Georgia, coming up in September 11th through the 13th. and we decided a theme and a logo. So that'll be coming out very, very soon, but we're excited this year to be advancing, transforming, and leading a group of injury and violence prevention professionals into the future. So that's very exciting. We have a couple of different spaces that we fit under the strategic map that I'll just highlight briefly. Really what we want to do is reach out to new and diverse audiences through our abstract submission process. So we really want to encourage our colleagues who may have never submitted an abstract to do that this year. And that will just help us bring new work into the membership and into the conference, but also making sure that we have some innovation as well. The other space that we really feel like we need to do some work towards is participating and strengthening our policy piece at the conference. So there'll be a pre-conference workshop that both Paul and Rich will be presenting. So that's an exciting piece as well. And then just really encouraging participation at our conference with partners and organizations through sponsorship opportunities and attendance at the annual meeting. So I would just encourage you to reach out to partners that maybe haven't attended in the past or haven't submitted an abstract to do that this year. Thanks, Lindsay.
Thanks, Lisa. Great, good. I love that change of name. Let's see, next we have the state designated rep SIG, and Jennifer Martin, I believe, is on the call to talk a little bit about their priorities.
Lindsay, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. So I'm calling from home, so I want to make sure the audio was working. So yes, so the state designated SIG is a representative of the directors for each of the states that are participating, are members of Safe States. And we had been talking about how we were noticing that there's been leadership changes. People are retiring or moving on or promoted. And so we wanted to, we felt like there was a need to have some guidance and resources for the state injury and violence prevention programs to help with those transitions. Some of those transitions are forecasted, and we know it's coming, and so there can be some transitional planning as you plan for your own departure. But also, you know, there might be some things just as an organization that you're preparing for the departure of a current leader. But then also recognizing the need to provide support for onboarding for new leaders. And so our committee created an ad hoc group that looked at how we might be able to meet that need. And one of the goals is to be able to gather existing resources and to share that with states. We really liked the concept of the injury prevention one-on-one toolkit for new employees, and we wanted to take that same approach and share that with and provide some more of a detail of resources for that middle senior management level. And so what we decided that the first two approaches we would take to collect information is to interview some of our most recent retirees, talk to some folks that have retired, and learn what they did to prepare for their retirement and how they prepared the next leaders. Then we also are wanting to plan to do a focus group with current leaders to find out what they're doing, and you know, as they're preparing for if they're preparing to retire soon or if they've gone through some change. So we're going to pull existing resources. We're going to do these interviews, and we'll just gather information and compile it so it's in a central place for each state as they go through any transitional changing. The other activity that we are going to focus on is something that we've been doing, and that's help promoting the Dear Colleagues letters and the policy efforts. But we all recognize that this is an area that we could grow and do more in. So we want to take a more conscious approach to really supporting and encouraging our state and local partners to participate and to not only be aware of the policy efforts, but also what role they can play to expand and enhance those efforts. So those are the two activities that we are planning to focus on as priorities.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Next up, we have the Partner and Sexual Violence Prevention SIG, and Leah Wentworth is the chair of that committee, and I will turn it over to her to tell you about their activities. We can't hear you, Leah, if you are on mute. Okay, she might be having some technical difficulties. So I'll go ahead and just read out what they have here. So they are looking at some professional development opportunities to plan and sponsor a webinar on a topic related to partner sexual violence for their membership. And so that is really great. And then they also hope to contribute to the policy priority area, looking at developing and updating a policy statement relating to partner and sexual violence. So those are two activities that they'll be working on. And Leah was unable to unmute for some reason, but said I did okay, so thanks, Leah. Great, so I think those are two great activities. Next, we have the policy committee, which has lots of activities, obviously, going on in the policy pillar, and I will turn it over to the co-chairs are Colleen Kapsamalis and Jane Hurway, and Colleen is going to give us a brief overview of their activities.
Okay, so as Lindsay said, all of our activities fall under the third pillar, which is around educating policymakers to advance the field. So the policy committee recently filled out a survey to prioritize which activities they want to work on this year. And a lot of these are consistent with what our member expectations are, so we're trying to definitely align with those. So the first one is around creating and maintaining policy resources for Safe States members to use when educating policymakers. An example of that is the Congressional Priorities document that we created for the 116th Congress. And I know that Paul and Rich have been using that document, but the idea is that members can also use that when reaching out to their congressional members for their various states. The second one is around developing and maintaining policy and position statements to inform and guide injury and violence prevention policy work at the federal, state, and local levels. As an example, and I know this is on the agenda to talk a little bit more later today, but the policy committee recently revamped the firearm policy statement, and this will be out for vote for the full membership in the coming weeks. And we just want to make sure that we're keeping tabs on the existing statements to make sure that they're updated and maintained with the most current information. The third activity is sharing advocacy and legislative alerts with injury and violence prevention partners and stakeholders. So just making sure that when advocacy alerts come through the government relations staff at Safe States, or if there's other legislative alerts, that the policy committee is proactive in sharing those and responding to them as appropriate. And then finally, there's an activity to participate in Hill Day, which is coming up in March this year. And the hope is that our policy committee members are able to participate in person and attend and be a part of that event. And that is it. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Colleen. And almost last, but certainly not least, our new Concept Development Committee, which is co-chaired by Benny LaHue and Tony Gomez. And Benny is going to give us a brief update of their activities.
Great, thank you, Lindsay. As Lindsay mentioned, this was created to help us move forward and really expanding our kind of repertoire of financial resources and support. The committee began meeting in late December, early January. And so for this year, we've established a few priorities, which you see under that that activity area of developing and prioritizing potential projects. The first thing was, some of you, hopefully many of you, took the member survey last year where we asked about priority topic areas. And so that's one area we've looked at, but we're really doing this process of discussing and identifying what the emerging injury topics would be, using that input, but also really kind of current opportunities. So for example, there is a lot happening right now with potential funding for firearm related prevention. So that's something we've been looking at. In the process, we also are developing a concept paper format, which is where we initiate the concept to potential funders. So that would be a brief 1 or 2 pager, which the staff has already begun to experiment with so that we can begin to pitch that. The other piece I'll mention, which really can fall under kind of strengthening our relationship with others, is we're really working to identify any other groups that we need to be aligned with that will help us kind of maximize those relationships and partnerships for potential shared funding proposals. And lastly, we've already begun to do this, but when staff does have funding proposals, we will review those and provide feedback and potentially bring in other resources, perhaps members that we think have an expertise in an area to help us really refine the concept. So that'll be the bulk of our work as we again try to diversify our portfolio.
Great, thanks so much, Benny. And then last is the Finance and Audit Committee. Lori Haskett, our treasurer, is the chair of this committee and was unable to be on the call. But as you might imagine, the Finance and Audit Committee makes sure everything's on track. And hopefully as these new funding sources come in and new opportunities happen, we help incorporate that into the budget and make sure again, that this is very connected with the board activities around prioritizing where some of the dollars go and what we need money for. So that is also an important piece. So that is it for our strategic map specifically. And now I'm going to turn it over to Rich, who is going to give some updates from the Safe States perspective and a little bit about what's going on for them.
Thanks a lot. And as of earlier this month, Safe States has joined a growing trend of national organizations going virtual, as you might have heard. Our staff is currently working out of 6 different states, and this change has already enabled us to hire several highly qualified candidates from several different states to join our already smart and talented staff. We're able to interact regularly by a number of different communications, one of which we're utilizing right now, and still find opportunities to regularly get together in person at meetings, conferences, retreats, and training. So you'll see no changes in quality of services or quality services provided to our members and partners. No changes to phone number, web address, staff emails. Hopefully you will not have noticed any changes over the last couple of months as we slowly but surely move to this environment. The only thing that will be different is on the bottom. Please note a new mailing address in Atlanta, and then also I operate out of an office in Washington, D.C. Next slide, please. I also thought you'd like to see an organizational chart with job descriptions, pictures, locations of our terrific staff. Each handles different issues, grant deliverables, committees, special interest groups. If you go online, you'll see more detailed bios with short summaries of each of their responsibilities. Really handy document. I would urge you print it off and keep it handy. Thanks. Next slide. Next, I'd like to address our new membership structure. You'll see a few simple summary items here, and we certainly have more details that we'll be rolling out over the next several months, but you'll see beginning June 1st, we have a simplified membership structure with uniform pricing. 4 current membership types streamlined into 3. Very simple, either an individual, a student, or an organizational member. No changes in our valuable benefits and services, and current members can renew through the end of May under the current pricing structure, and renewals and payments after June 1st will renew under the new structure and pricing. As Safe States Alliance has grown and diversified its membership over a 25-year existence, various updates to the membership had resulted in variations of membership pricing and policies across the membership type. So the new changes are designed to simplify the structure, provide equity to all of our members, regardless of institutional type, and also increase flexibility for organizations to determine the number of representatives on their membership, and will also allow for teams to tailor membership plan to fit their unique needs. And finally, all membership dues will contribute to Safe State's ability to reinvest into our membership and organization, continue to benefit the field of injury and violence prevention. Next slide, please. Here's a simple chart summarizing the rates, the current rates, and then the rates effective June 1st. Safe States understands there's always some level of staff turnover. Therefore, you'll still be able to make updates to your membership at any point throughout your 12-month billing cycle. While Safe States cannot provide a refund for an unused slot that was included in the annual renewal cycle, organizations are welcome to add new representatives at any point to replace the individual who is removed. Also, the fee for the additional membership or memberships will be prorated based on your annual renewal date. So we're hoping this all goes smoothly, and I think moving forward will make the process much simpler and hopefully help us build additional membership along the way. Next slide, please. So for membership-related information, Michelle Wynn on invoicing questions, Krista Thalen on membership roster questions, Sharon on all other questions, and if for some reason you can't find any of them at a given time, you can always chase me down as well. Next slide, please. So we've highlighted some of this, but I wanted to give you some nice visuals of some of our current projects. You heard that in January, we launched our Why I Belong campaign, and that does feature Safe States members and the reasons they're involved with Safe States beginning in January is this first one. You see Ariel Smith, who's highlighted, and different members will be featured each month on a revolving banner on our website. Also, through comprehensive interviews and focus groups, 7 case studies across 6 states were developed. These case studies use a storytelling approach to connect the work on 3 priority topics of ACEs, suicide prevention, opioid prevention, with a particular emphasis on efforts to address shared risk and protective factors. Case studies leveraging states' work on ACEs, suicide, and opioid misuse provide 7 specific examples on how connections can be used to support work across multiple funding sources. Safe States also officially wrapped up, as you heard, our Giving Tuesday Gift of Membership campaign. We're very excited about that. Each student will participate on at least one committee, and you also heard about just how many more than 80 some odd I think applied. So we're trying to figure out how to get more of them to join Safe States, and have begun to brainstorm some ideas to engage them moving forward. Next slide, please. So upcoming events, we have part 2 of a shared risk and protective factors webinar series featuring the aforementioned case studies. That's on February 26th. We held the previous one that I'm sure you can get access to on February 13th. On our firearm policy statement, so as you've heard, we're in the midst of an expanding policy debate over firearms and the importance of promoting a firearm violence prevention agenda. So working group policy committee recently developed this revised statement, subsequently approved by the board. A virtual membership vote will be conducted starting next week, so please participate and urge your other colleagues and members to do so as well, and I believe that will go on for 2 weeks or through around March 10th. Once approved, the statement will help guide Safe States policy efforts related to this important IVP issue, and I have to tell you, a number of groups have been actively reaching out to us to learn about our statement and have called upon us and our expertise and the expertise of our members to participate in a number of symposiums and conferences on this important issue. Hill Day, you already heard about. We're very excited. We have a record number we're getting close to 40 participants from over a dozen partner organizations. We still have a month and a half to go. Hopefully it doesn't happen on a snow day. Again, we have 6 inches of snow here in the area today, so luckily it wasn't today, but we are extremely pleased with the turnout, with increased participation from our members and from our our partner organizations in the Injury and Violence Prevention Network. And then you'll see the updated membership structure goes into effect. Stat visits. This summer, another round of stat visits will occur. Launched in 2000, the goal of the State Technical Assistance Team, Assessment Team program is to help state and injury and violence prevention programs better understand and improve their organizational efforts across 3 core areas: infrastructure, data and surveillance, and policy and program strategies. For each component, Safe States has developed standards and indicators that describe the conditions that should exist within an ideal comprehensive state program. This year's participating state or states will soon be chosen. And of course, last but not least, our annual conference is scheduled this year for September 11th to 13th in Atlanta, Georgia. More information, including a call for abstracts, will follow. And last 2 slides quickly, building partnerships. You see that is a key goal of our organization. Yeah, next slide, please. We're continuing to build and maintain close relationships with over 75 national organizations. You'll see several listed here, everything from ASTO, Affiliate Council, Make Safe Happen, Advisory Committee, the Road to Zero Coalition, Strive Action Council, Trauma Prevention Coalition, also Child Death Review National Partnership, Coalition to Engage Public Health to Increase Adult Seatbelt Use, and many, many more. Each year, and this is not just me, it's a combination of our staff and some of our key members, on average participate in over 150 meetings a year to work with other organizations, share ideas, brainstorm, consider opportunities for a partnership. And then on the last slide, over the past month or so, several new documents have been finalized. Our 2018 annual report is now available on the website. It's a fast read, nice synopsis of this past year's progress made. Urge you to check it out and share it with your colleagues. We've also finalized a new one-pager. I think you heard a little bit about this when we were talking about the strategic plan, the value of membership, and we'll soon have a new one, the value of partnership. This membership one is a condensed version of a longer document. It's a great leave behind with colleagues who might be considering membership at Safe States. And additionally, the policy committee and board recently approved the aforementioned congressional priorities, which you have on your screen right there. So let me turn it back. Appreciate the time to share some of the exciting things that we're doing, and I'd like to turn it back to Lindsay.
Thank you so much, Rich. I know this is a lot of information to process in kind of a speedy format here, but really meant to be an introduction to all of these issues. And we do have some time for questions now, and particularly the membership changes. I think those are kind of hard to digest in a quick couple of slides. And so there'll certainly be opportunities to ask questions, and we can all kind of help with that if you have questions about that. I did want to just zoom back here real quick for the slide that hopefully you were all staring at so long that you read this, but I accidentally skipped the hospital-based injury SIG, and I did not mean to. So I want to just see, I know the chair, Stuart Williams, was not able to make the call today, but Julie Alonso, who provides some staff support for that committee, was going to provide just a brief update. And before we jump into questions, I just wanted to give you the chance to do that real quick, Julie, if you don't mind. You might be on mute.
Looks like there's a double mute feature.
Yeah.
I was muted on my cell and on the computer screen. So thank you for that quick opportunity. There is a lot of sharing and amongst hospital-based programs that goes on the monthly HIPSIG calls. And so there's a lot of that, but the one activity I wanted to draw attention to is the group continues to promote the standards and indicators for level 1 and 2 trauma center injury and violence prevention programs. Those were developed and released back in November 2017, but the group continues to promote and engage new partners across the field to now take those and look at the practical application. So we're actually, there's a group of us that will be going to the TCAA annual meeting, the Trauma Center Associations of America, and we'll be doing a half-day workshop on applying that tool. And also several members will be presenting during the Injury Prevention Professional Symposium that's really highlights and is really meant for hospital-based injury program professionals. So I think those are the big ones. And so I guess that actually would even fall under strengthen relationships with other organizations, because there's a lot of that goes on with the prevention, the Trauma Prevention Coalition. So.
Thank you so much, Julie, and I apologize to the HIPSIG members. I did not do that on purpose. I was like, why? I'm missing one, and I recalled as we went on. So we will stop there and ask for questions. Again, I know this is a lot of information to digest, and I just want to say in kind of closing, I am so impressed with all of you for your contributions. This is so much work on staff time, executive committee time, committee chairs, SIG chairs, and then all of the members that participate in them is pretty impressive amount of work. And, you know, I think that, you know, collectively we have definitely increased the visibility of our organization and have a lot of really exciting things coming on board. So I'm very excited about that. So I will open it up. If you are going to ask a question out loud, please feel free to do so, but remember you might be on mute. And then if you would prefer to type in the chat function, that is fine as well. I did get a comment from Nan. I'm appreciating the update, so thanks for that, Nan. I appreciate that. Any other questions? Wow, we are rushing through so we could save at least a little time. Hoping you'd have some questions, but I understand it's a lot to digest. So we did get a question about whether the slides will be shared via email, and yes, they will, along with the recording of the presentation, and I think a couple of highlights that will accompany that so that you can share with your colleagues. Okay. Well, I can hang on a couple more minutes. I'll stay on the line. We'll maybe officially close the webinar for those of you who have to run off to your next meeting. It's always nice to head off a couple minutes early. So thank you very much for participating, and I will hang out on the line here. Stop the recording now, but if others of you have questions, please feel free to chat, and thank you all for taking the time to listen today.